piece of this. All right, let me call the meeting to order. This is a regularly scheduled Greer City Council meeting called and convened this evening, March the 10th, 2015. Having called the meeting to order, I would ask that you would please join me as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we come this evening as your humble servants and ask your blessings upon this meeting. We thank you for the calling that you have placed upon our lives, put us in positions of service. Remind us daily that we are public servants and are here to serve our constituents as best we possibly can, and as you lead and direct us in that endeavor. Help us to be mindful of the many sacrifices that our employees make. Help guide and direct them, keep them safe, and help us as elected leaders to seek to do what's best for this community. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
With that, we're going to move to the public forum. In public forum, we set aside a time for citizens to discuss items that might be pertinent to our agenda. And this is a time for you to address council in public forum. And this evening, we have someone that would like to come in regards to the Allen Bennett Hospital. Tom Eventino, who is no stranger to us and has participated in a number of our art shows and other civic activities, is with us this evening. And so, sir, the floor is yours. If you want to come to the podium.
Thank you so much. Ironically, 7 years ago, on March the 8th, I came before the City Council and asked for you to consider saving the Cannon Center. And I think all of us have been amazed at what that facility has been for the city. And tonight I would like to give you some ideas about possibly saving the Allen Bennett Center. The original gift from the Bennett family, as I understood it, was conceived from the idea of wellness for the Greer community and to honor their son, a World War veteran. After surveying numerous individuals from our community, I would like to propose these ideas as an alternative option to the demolition of the facility. Envision this: the Allen Bennett Activity Complex of Greer. One of the three components of the complex would be an activity center. This portion would satisfy the numerous needs of our growing population of seniors, young adults, and children, all of which are increasingly more interested in an active lifestyle. This area could include exercise equipment, meeting rooms for clubs and civic organizations, computer rooms, after-school programs, and a kitchen. A second component of this complex could be an aquatic center. This portion of the complex could contain pools of varying sizes. A large 50-meter pool for swim meets, local, state, and regional. Another pool with a zero entrance for children and seniors. And an outdoor water park for fun during summer will attract all ages. Family memberships, rentals from local high schools for swim teams, and concessions can all bring in considerable dollars for upkeep. The third portion would house the Greer Heritage and Art Museum. This would give much needed additional exhibit space for a large, important collection of historical memorabilia documenting Greer's history. This portion could also contain exhibit space for a new permanent collection of Greer's renowned artist, Suzanne Langford Green. This unbelievable collection of amazing watercolors will astound visitors, a must-see for tourists and art lovers alike. Another much-needed exhibit hall will allow local artists to showcase their works on a quarterly basis. This will constantly give renewed interest and enthusiasm for our community and visitors alike. Without question, tourism can have an undeniably positive impact on Greer's economic future. With the coming of Bass Pro Shop to our area, we have the unique opportunity to capitalize on and entice thousands of tourists to Greer. According to news releases, these visitors are traveling over 50 miles one way and are responsible for Bass Pro Shop being the #1 tourist destination in North Carolina. Think tourism for Greer. Tourism has become an integral part of Greenville County's vibrant economy. It will help sustain our hotels and conference centers. And our outstanding restaurants, unusual boutiques, as well as our historic attractions and museums. This will enable our local community to afford many more amenities than would otherwise be possible. I would like to emphasize to the mayor, the city officials, and the citizens that this opportunity will pass our way only once. Yes, this property is very valuable to the city of Greer, but no investment in any endeavor could be more important to the city than a multi-use facility for all of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Good ideas. Obviously, have spent some time thinking about it. With that, then, we'll move to the minutes of the council meeting. Council, you've got the February 24th minutes there in your packet. I'll entertain a motion that they be received.
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any items of note for the clerk? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. I believe Cindy Simpler is with us this evening, and I think you've got Krista Gibson and Hannah Rainwater to join you as well, too. So, ladies, if y'all would come up, we've got a special recognition that we'd like to make this evening. All right, come on and join us.
Oh, man. I'm trying to get out of it.
These ladies represent community ministries, and when you think of community ministries, obviously you think of Meals on Wheels, a program that has served our community for a number of years, and we want to make a proclamation in regards to the Meals on Wheels program and the work that Greer Community Ministries does. And this proclamation reads, Greer Community Ministries Meals on Wheels program, whereas Meals on Wheels, March for Meals, urges every citizen to take time this month to honor the Meals on Wheels program and the citizens we serve and the volunteers who care for them. Whereas Greer Community Ministries' involvement in the National 2015 March for Meals campaign can enrich an entire community and help combat senior hunger and isolation in Greer. And whereas the Greer Community Ministries Meals on Wheels program benefits 350 local residents on a weekly basis. Meals are prepared on site, delivered, and funded completely through community donations. Whereas the City of Greer, as well as surrounding communities, are strong supporters of the Meals on Wheels mission and the desire to eradicate hunger and isolation among our most valuable residents, now therefore Mayor Rick Danner and the Greer City Council declare the month of March 2015 as Greer Community Ministries Meals on Wheels March for Meals Month. Please join me in giving Greer Community Ministries and our Meals on Wheels program a round of applause, please.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being one of our faithful volunteer drivers in delivering meals. But we are committed, along with other agencies in the area, to eliminating hunger in our community, and also the isolation and depression that many of our seniors feel. And lots of statistics show that personal interaction has as much a health benefit as the meal itself. So thank you, all of you, so much for honoring us in this way.
Good. Thank you. As we get ready to transition there, we got a few people that want to slip out before you get started. Please, Dan. And Meals on Wheels is a program I would urge you to support financially, but also with your time. You know, I had never really thought about the idea of isolation, but have been involved in delivering meals for them for a number of years, and it is amazing how welcoming the folks are to see you when you stop by to drop off a meal or to check on them. And it is well worth your time, even if it's in a rotation with others at work or community, or you just want to volunteer once a month or once a quarter, whatever it is. I can assure you it is an opportunity that you'll take away more of a blessing from than even the people that you serve. And so I would urge you to get involved in that program if you possibly can. As you can see, Police Chief Dan Reynolds has joined us, and this evening is going to make a presentation in regards to their annual report. Chief, the floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, Council, and Mr. Griggers, and fellow citizens of Greer, I'd like to add to what you said there. When I first came here, I volunteered to ride along with one of the volunteers, and you wouldn't believe how many people are out there that really need the assistance of Meals on Wheels. You do an outstanding job. Also, Greer Relief that provides food. I was on their board for a while, and I've also volunteered this month to go ride with them. And it's a great cause, and everybody in here should think about that in the future. The report today is going to be brief. I told Mr. Griggers it would be at least under 2 hours. I will give a Reader's Digest type report tonight, and we've prepared a written report for you after this meeting. You'll be given a copy to look at and take with you. I'd have to admit that I stole this from the idea from Ann Cunningham, who also prepared the same type of report. So I have to give her credit for that. Also want to introduce my staff. I have three of my lieutenants here. One of them's off in Myrtle Beach. He really wanted to be here, but he and other staff members, as well as some of our volunteers here, to include one, Angie, that's on the National Board of Citizen Police Academy. So we're well represented in volunteers and people that work here. This report is a collaborative effort on the part of everybody on the police department, not just me. I give credit to Matt Mahan, who put it together. With my computer skills, I doubt very seriously that I can put a report together like this. Fortunately, I have talented staff, educated staff that do well. They're very confident, they're professional, and they're responsible for the success of our organization. Also, remind you, if you look on the back of, when you get it, of our written report, it mentions or lists all the areas of the strategic plan that we address within the programs that we have here. I didn't bother, like I have in the past, to outline and highlight in the report. I just wanted you to know that we do think about the strategic plan and we work on it very vigorously to accomplish whatever we're expected to accomplish. To begin with, the mission. The mission of the Greer Police Department is to provide quality services in partnership with the community, ensure safe and secure neighborhoods. The idea here, again, a collaboration of effort, working with the community to provide that safety and security they need in their neighborhoods. Without the help and the assistance, the information that's provided with the community, the businesses, the churches in this community, we could not have the success that we do have. And we have a real good, close working relationship with a lot of communities here in Greer. Our values are partnership, respect, integrity, dedication, and empowerment. All of these things we have to focus on when we talk to our new employees, and we go over that each new employee is expected to be able to repeat the mission statement. When I first came here, it was about 3 or so paragraphs long, and I decided to shorten it so people could memorize it. And it still is meaningful, no matter how many words are in it. This is what we try to accomplish. I'm going to go over the major accomplishments we had in 2014. Today, all the collision reports are completed on the 4th beam, which is an in-car computer. That computer also can communicate with the traffic office, which is another thing we started up the DPU unit, which focuses on traffic. We're able to publish maps based on the data that's collected on these computers and share that with the public so they know where some of the problem areas are for traffic accidents and can make sure to take caution when they go through these areas. We received nearly $80,000 worth of equipment from the state. We received a grant for this equipment, computers, printers, etc. To accomplish this. All our traffic officers and all our officers on the street are equipped with this. In the past, it took up to 45 minutes to an hour to do just a normal 2-car collision. Now it takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. So that provides a lot of quicker service, more efficient service to the public, and they can get copies of the report right there on the scene where they had to come down to the department and get copies. That's it. We're working with Greenville and us are working on e-ticketing. So we'll be able to go, people will be able to go online eventually, maybe by the end of this year, and pay their tickets. So we're moving right along and improving the efficiency of our department and also helping the courts in that area. And the court's already set up to receive tickets over the internet or payment tickets. All our patrol officers, now that I know everybody here is familiar with Ferguson in New York and the incidents that have happened there in Cincinnati. Way before those things occurred, we had already decided we're going to use body cameras. We started working with different types of body cameras back in May, I think it was, to test them out and see which was the best, where would they fit, how would they work, how the officers would like, which ones they liked and which they didn't like. And instead of downloading information to another agency or somewhere else, we decided to purchase some more information on the mainframe so we could download all the videos at our department and keep that information in-house. And that seems to work well for us. We're still working through this body camera thing. If you've heard, the legislature is trying to pass some kind of legislation to control this. I'm the president of the Chiefs Association, and myself, the Sheriff's Association, and NASC have some concerns about legislation because I don't think the body camera issue is resolved yet. We have a policy, we developed a policy prior to implementing the system, but there are still some issues related to privacy and other things, whether people need to give their permission or what to use the body cameras. We have sort of a restricted policy, and the only person that can edit these videos is Lieutenant Varner. So we have control over what's on these things. Officers, when they go into somebody's home, ask permission to use the body cameras because of privacy concerns. And in other instances, we deal with juveniles and schools and other places. It's a problem. I read an article today about Florida. Florida's looking at legislation. They're having some difficulty. I shared that with Tiger from the MASC today to let him know that not every state that has these body cameras is going to resolve anything. I think what we're going to have to wait for is some court decisions to come down and really tell us when and where to use these things. But we're still using them now, and we feel like they've cut back on complaints, they've cut back on people arguing with police officers or police officers getting into it with citizens, and I think it's going to be a plus for us. In fact, we've even noticed, I had asked Lieutenant Barter today about use of force, we've even seen a reduction in that with the department. Another thing, our vice team has been certified to dismantle meth labs and partnering in the upstate with the meth task force. To date, we have disabled 10 labs. We felt we needed to certify our officers, equip our officers. They have a trailer with all the equipment they need to do this. A very dangerous and hazardous job, but they're well trained. They've had plenty of experience. They've worked with other agencies before they started dismantling our labs, and they do a fine job. Our victim advocate, Megan Weevil, was nationally certified and appointed as a statewide mentor. I think that's for advocates. She's also our civilian of the year this year for 2014. She does an outstanding job. She handles about 133 cases a month. We have a problem, and like everybody in this state, domestic violence, and those are the major cases she handles. That and child and elder abuse. Does an outstanding job at that, obviously. Our detention officers were certified this year to carry weapons, basically to transport prisoners, but also to provide security to the court. The judge had asked us to have them armed. In order to do that, you have to go through an intensive process of training and a retraining in firearms, and we've done that, and now we have armed people at the metal detector at the front of the courtroom. It just makes no sense that they're there to protect the court from somebody that's armed. They need to be armed themselves. The Greer Police Academy Alumni Association, whose members are here, volunteered for 1,664 hours of work, both administrative work, and you'll see them in their shirts and their vests, out here doing certain events in the city, and they volunteer on a regular basis to do that. That's a lot of hours compared to no hours a few years ago. And by the way, this is my 10th year here. I can't believe it. These guys think it's too much, but I think it's gone by really fast. We're trying to get more neighborhoods involved, and we did this year, National Night Out Neighborhood Watch. That's increased. Crime prevention has focused on construction thefts. Why? If you look at the expansion and all the different development that's going on now, and the lack of security in most of these construction sites, you understand that they're very vulnerable. So Chad has gone around and talked to a lot of these places, and that the contractors will try to explain to them what they need to do to protect their stuff. Not only that stuff, construction materials. We purchased an alarm system that we can put out at some of these places that we know through analysis may get hit, and try to detect somebody stealing the property before they can get it and be able to respond to it quickly. Community service workers this year, this is another new program working with the board, picked up over 1,500 gallons of litter from the city. That's quite a lot. You know, I know I travel down Highway 80 a lot, and I've noticed some of the trash there, and they went down the highway there and picked up some of the trash down there that really needs to be picked up. And I know I've been in my former city before and looked at the entranceway and see the trash along the side of the road. It really detracts from the image of the city. We want to make sure that we're clean and look good. One other thing that I didn't mention here, but I have in the other report, is we were able to get Mr. Walls to donate a box to put drugs in, you know, the drug take back program that we have. And it's unbelievable. We've collected in the last 3 or 4 months 500 pounds of drugs from people. I was walking into the station house the other day, and an elderly gentleman turned around to me and said, "Where can I put this in a big old plastic bag full of pills?" I asked him if there's anything I could use. No, we could the thing, the can, or whatever you call it. It looks like a mailbox that's in the hallway there. And it gets filled up every week. You wouldn't believe how many people are using drugs or have drugs available to them that they don't use anymore. Next year, what we intend to do is create an early warning or early intervention system. Captain Handy's working on this. He's in charge of professional standards. Basically, what we do is record all events of the use of force incidents, missed court dates, citizens' complaints, vehicle accidents, lawsuits, reports against officers, or notice of intent to sue. We record those in the computer, and periodically supervisors will look at this and be able to take action before things get critical and counsel officers on what's going on. Now, we didn't want to do this just as staff or command staff, so he set up a committee, a representative committee of officers and supervisors to choose the vendor for this system, to explain what the system does and how it works. So we're getting input from the employees in developing this system, which I think is only appropriate. We received 2 dogs this week. Friday probably will be delivered. We have 2 officers that we've designated. They competed for positions as canine officers. We had canines before, but they just weren't effective. These are new dogs, new officers, younger officers who are, I think, a little bit more motivated to do this and be part of this program. We've noticed that we've had to call on other cities for assistance in this area, and the response time is slow. They do the best they can. We can't get anybody to work the school, so we have decided to take proactive measures and reestablish this canine unit. And this was a suggestion by the officers also to deal with those issues that we have. They're not bite dogs, they only trail or track and detect. So we don't have cat dogs, just to make sure everybody understands that. Something I don't believe in, and I don't think is right, especially this time with the national, with some of the stuff that's going on with police and the country. We're going to have to install a new CAD system, which we don't pay for. We're supported by Greenville. We've had several meetings with Greenville, probably around October, we'll have that new system. And the whole idea with the system is to be able to monitor officers' productivity and where they're going and capture data on areas where we've had a lot of problems and be able to manage our resources better. We're going to evaluate the communication system we have today to cover the city because of the expanded area that we have. We're having some problems with portable radios communicating. So we either have to get repeaters and use UHF or tie in with the county. The county's talking about a 700 trumpet system. Who's going to pay for that? We don't know yet. It all depends who's going to pay for that, because we have good success with the UHF. Where 700 and 800, there are problems when you get in a building with a lot of steel and structure. So we've got to make that choice and decide what we're going to do with that. And that can be very expensive if we go over to 700. But it has interoperability, which is important during an emergency. But, let's figure that out. We're talking about adding an Area 5 because, again, the expansion, the population is expanding, and possibly asking for 6 officers, not 6 officers necessarily this year, but over a period of time to keep up with the population growth. Understanding it takes at least a year to put an officer on solo out on patrol by themselves where they really have enough experience to function properly. It takes several months for them to get to the academy. It takes 3 months for them to go through the 12-week training academy, then we have a 10-week field training officer program. We want them prepared before they hit the street. A lot of departments don't have a field training program. We do because we feel that we really have to evaluate these people before they get on the street. The academy does not teach them enough, especially communication skills, interpersonal communication skills. We're going to have a summer youth leadership academy. That's going to be 3 weeks long. We're working with the 2 middle schools, both Greer and Riverside. The SROs, the 2 SROs in those schools are going to be teaching that. And then we intend to expand our crime prevention efforts and add neighborhood watches, national light, outsides, and add something called Project ID where people, mark their valuables, the serial numbers. People don't understand. If you have a TV or something else valuable that people steal, radios or whatever, there's a number on the back of these things, but they're not unique to that particular piece of equipment. So we will be giving out etching pens and things to people to be able to do this. We'll loan them out to people and let them put their social security number. I wouldn't suggest the whole social security number, put some identifying number or name on their valuables, especially with their social security numbers that are being stolen today. They've been talking about 6 million social security numbers out there to people who are over 114 years old. But what they're doing with it, that's on Fox News this afternoon. That is my report. Does anybody here have any questions of me, or if you don't have any now, I'd be more than happy to answer them later.
Council? When you, these meth labs that you have dismantled, have they been in houses?
Yes, sir. I think one was in the garage or an outhouse.
Does that not?
They did that to the property.
That's what I'm,
do that.
yeah, that's what I want to know, the procedure. What's the procedure after that?
When we do that, we call codes. They come out, they condemn the house. person that owns the house, we have a preliminary cleanup that's done by one of the state agencies here. We don't pay for that. But then they have to decontaminate the house on their own, and that house will not be, we won't take the condemnation off until it's fully clean. That's really interesting. We had a house in Riverside Chase with some of our roots. Mother was a nurse, and the son was taking that out of the garage, which was down the house. They were really eager to get it cleaned up, and we're not paying for that.
So we have a way, I mean, that goes into our system that this house ain't sold till
Yes,
it's
sir.
cleaned up.
Yes, sir, and it has to be, if they sell a property, it has to be indicated on the property of the lease or the document that it was at one time used and like that. That stuff is very volatile. People can die from sniffing the fumes of some of that stuff. And you're amazed, you know, a lot of these people don't even have a high school education and or have a chemistry class.
Yeah.
They're smoking over it and everything. That's where we get some explosions.
Chief, I've noticed some new cars. Are we using some Fords now? Is that what
Yes,
it
sir,
is?
we're going to the Ford all-wheel drive. Captain Ballinger, or Captain Ballinger. Sergeant Ballinger is driving one of them, and we have 3 other ones that we purchased. They, I think Mr. Arrow had mentioned this before, but when we had the storms, those things function really well. I mean, they grip the road, and we didn't have any problem. And the way he drives,
Others? Chief, we appreciate your report, and please convey to your department that we are truly appreciative of their efforts and endeavors and the community outreach that takes place at various different ways and different efforts. We know that goes a long ways towards creating an environment of trust in our community that I think bodes well for us and our professional training and commitment to the job, I think will serve us well. So thank you to our entire department, and pass that along for us, please.
yeah, and we also want to thank you for your support, because very seldom if we ever come to work out budget time or anything else, but we haven't got what we should do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. With that information, we'll move to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As I begin my report, if I could ask Steve Grant if he would please come to the podium. As he's coming forward, I'd like to offer as a matter of introduction to you to meet Steve Grant. He is our newest member of Team Greer. He is our city engineer and has responsibility for our Building and Development Standards Office. I've had some communications with you previously about Mr. Grant's background, and we are indeed grateful and glad to have him on board. He is still working with Don Holloman. Don is on board with us right now, providing some transitional assistance. Steve kind of refers to drinking out of the fire hose. So I think it's an awful lot of information that he's trying to absorb in a short period of time. But I've asked him to come forward tonight to offer a bit of personal introduction to you as well, and to have you have an opportunity to meet him tonight. So Steve, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, Steve Grant. This is my second week. I've been very, very busy getting up to speed on what all was going on, what Mr. Holland had going on, his time here. And as he said, I've been drinking out the fire hose. Some of it I got ingested, most of it I got wet. But it is getting better a little bit day by day. I'm thankful that Don is here to help. That's been a huge help, just knowing where everything is and who to call for whatever you need. But I'm pleased to be here, looking forward to working with you all. I've been working in the upstate my whole career, so I don't know a lot of people around the city of Greer, but I know a lot of people in the upstate area, so I hope my connections will come in handy as we go forward. But I'm looking forward to get better acquainted with Greer and looking forward to the future.
Steve comes to us from Spartanburg Water, his most recent assignment, and previously to that, worked with the city of Spartanburg as a city engineer with the city of Spartanburg. So very, very glad to have his expertise, his experience, and his skill on Team Greer.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, welcome. We appreciate you coming on board.
Couple matters of just information for you. Please note that it is now March, and by the end of March are due the infamous Statement of Economic Interest reports. In case you're wondering if folks monitors those, yes. So we are extremely grateful that two members of council, Councilman Dumas and Councilman Griffin, are recorded as having filed their statements of economic interest. We only offer that not to identify who has not, but to say, please do not forget. There is a new deadline this year, and it is March 30th. So please do not believe that the deadline is April 14th. Take that out of your memory forever. It is March 30th. So please, if you have not yet, make sure that you get those filed. As a matter of information, only one other staff member has filed that. Mr. Seifert in our finance department has filed his. I have not yet filed mine. Mine is in a saved status on the report, and then I will need to finalize that and upload it as filed. So if you're in the same situation that I am, that you've gone online and you've completed the report, but you haven't yet filed it, you will need to convert it from a saved status to a filed status. Trust me, I learned that lesson a few years ago. The embarrassment, and $100 later, I was able to get that taken care of. So you want to make sure you get it transferred. Very good. Wanted to make you aware that I had an opportunity last week to meet with representatives of the Public Affairs Committee with our local Chamber of Commerce. It was a very informative and a very good meeting. The purpose of that was to advise our local chamber of some pending legislation that is happening in Columbia relative to bills that are filed in the House of Representatives concerning local business license. We are watching one particular, Representative Quinn from the Midlands area has a bill filed that we are watching very closely. But briefly, I wanted to share with you how that affects us as well and what I shared with those folks. We have 2,647 businesses that are licensed with the city of Greer. Of those, 1,457 are our businesses that are located within the city and that have permanent locations. They're physically located inside the city. We have an additional 1,190 businesses that are what we refer to as non-resident businesses that are doing business coming in and out of the city. So again, 1,457 that are resident businesses, non-resident 1,190. Of that 1,457, we collect $1,782,428 this past year of those resident businesses. The non-resident businesses, $838,758 for a total of $2,621,186. Why is that number significant? It represents, along with our collections for insurance and for telecommunications, 30% of the total revenue stream for our city. 30% of our total revenue stream is collected outside of taxes that are collected in the form of property tax. And we talk about that each year as we work through our budget process and in our planning retreat as well. The legislation that is out there caps business license at $100. With a total of $2,647 and a cap of $100, the math is really easy to do. With that pending legislation, we would collect $264,700. Today, we're collecting $2,621,186. The effect to our municipality and municipalities, cities and towns across this state would be devastating. It would be crippling to many municipalities. We are no exception. This is a very, very serious matter as it pertains to home rule and the ability for you to regulate and manage this local city. You have been receiving information through our partners at the Municipal Association. As I shared with the Chamber of Commerce, if we thought the local government fund was important, this is paramount. It, again, would be crippling and devastating to the revenue stream and the finances of our city. There is no ability to transfer $2.6 million to property tax. There isn't the ability to do that. It would require a combination of drastic reductions in service, drastic reduction in programs that we provide, as well as then additional transfer of those revenue streams. So I encourage you to talk with our local legislators. Let our folks know that are in the House of Representatives what the impact and the effect is to our community. We've been doing that at the staff level. I know many of you have. We thought that it was important that we bring this message in a very public environment as well. It was received with great support from our Chamber of Commerce. Our community, the chamber that represents the business community, recognizes the value that our city brings to our citizens and to this community, and they are monitoring this as well. They have not endorsed this as the State Chamber of Commerce has endorsed this legislation. Our local chamber has not endorsed it. It is on their watch list, and they are concerned about it as well, and have communicated with us that this is not a bill that they would be in support of, or that they would put on their legislative agenda to push for its passage as well. And we're very, very grateful for that. So glad that we had the opportunity to meet with them. Wanted to make sure that we all had the same numbers so that when we're talking with folks that we do understand 30% of our revenue stream is impacted by this and what the dollars actually are. Sometimes folks just don't realize what the total impact could possibly be.
Mr. Greers, who's pushing this legislation?
Rick Quinn is the author of the legislation. He's from the Midlands area.
Well, I know but who's pushing it?
The State Chamber of Commerce and the Small Business League. Small Business League. Yeah.
Now, where did they come up with the $100 figure? I mean, was that just something they pulled out of the air?
I was afraid they pulled it from somewhere.
Sounds like a good number to them.
It's in our conversations with our legislators has been that this is a reactionary bill, and we certainly understand that. We had some information for you during your planning retreat concerning our process. We're very, very confident that here in Greer that we've taken measures to simplify this process so that businesses who are either operating as resident businesses or businesses that are coming to our community that do business in multiple locations. We are trying very, very hard to simplify that process. We were a leader in the state in adopting a unified and uniform business license application process. 70 municipalities in the state have adopted that uniform application. We are one of those. What we are hearing from non-resident businesses, that it is not the fee, it is not the requirement that a business license be obtained, but it is in the disparity of what is required around the state to do business in respective communities. So what we believe is happening at the state level is that this bill is reactionary in that it's trying to address concerns about process, and it's trying to address concerns about permitting, which is more of a building code issue, much more so than a business license issue. What we've committed to Representative Quinn and to the State Chamber of Commerce and to the League of Small Businesses is that we will continue to work with other cities and towns across the state to help improve that process. We'll offer our resources to train and educate and offer best practices. We do think that statewide that there are improvements that can be made. But what we do not believe is that there can be a cap that is imposed on a license fee. We don't think that that is fair to any level of business. We think it has a crippling effect to us financially. We also don't believe that there can be a unified rate schedule across the state as well, because that in itself would be contrary to home rule. In each city and town across the state, local legislative bodies, city and town councils need to have the ability to set those rates the same as they would set the rate relative to millage. If there was an attempt at the state level to set a unified rate schedule for business license, I can assure you the next step would be that there would be a unified millage rate that would be assessed across the state as well. We know, just based on our own experience in reviewing millage rates and fees across the state, we are not high and we are not low. When we compare ourselves to similar sized communities, we fare very, very well. We are typically in that middle to the lower range of that when we look at the total cost to have a home or to operate a business inside our community. We are a very competitively priced community relative to taxes and fees. We spend a great deal of resources researching that and comparing ourselves, benchmarking ourselves to that every year. Again, we think it's reactionary. We've had good response from our legislators locally concerning this matter. I actually met with Representative Stringer last week on this measure as well. I know that the mayor has met with Representative Henderson. We've met collectively with Representative Allison. So we're getting good response and communication from our folks on what this means. This is a House bill. There is not a version of it at the Senate at this point. And we've communicated to our senators, should this pass at the state and in the House side, and it goes to the Senate, if the Senate bill is introduced, we are advising our resident senators what the impact of this would mean to services in our community. We do not believe that this is a bill that can be amended with compromise. We think this is a bill that needs to be voted down. And if there are legitimate issues concerning process, that legislation needs to be introduced and allow us to work with them on how that can be implemented. So we think that this bill has devastating effects to local government with no real consideration of what its financial impact would mean. Any questions about that? Additional?
Well, I think it's important that we get a hold of it on the front end, because you know yourself, if it passes, they don't often go back and correct those mistakes.
It takes a long time. Act 388 is an excellent example of bad legislation that we're still living with.
Yeah.
You know, it's an ironic thing, though, that if you're a corporation in the state, you have to pay the state a fee every year in order to do business. So it's okay for the state to collect it, I guess, huh?
I would assume so. I would assume so. But thank you for allowing me to update you on that information. One of the things that we do want to make sure that we've left at your place a copy of our local Chamber of Commerce's Experience Greer magazine. This is a partnership opportunity that we certainly have with our local chamber to help distribute this information. It is a wonderful resource on our community. You'll notice that there are a number of articles and feature pieces in this publication concerning our work here in the community. I certainly encourage you to take a look at that at your convenience as well. But when it comes to publications, we certainly want to give attention to one of our own. We have distributed for you a hard copy of our annual report for the entire city for 2014. I've asked Steve Owens if he would come forward. We'd like to share with you each year a bit of how that publication is presented to our community in an online version. Steve, if you could give us a little brief update on that, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Driggers. Good evening, Mayor and Council. There's nothing like pending state legislature to make you look good at the podium. So move forward from there. It's a treat to unveil the annual report for you this evening. This is the 2014 edition. Our annual report serves two major purposes. During the course of the year, you hear 23 different administrative reports. You hear from each of our department heads for their annual report. This is a way of bringing together those reports into one publication, and it's a valuable way for the public to be informed about city activities. What we hope is that it will be a snapshot of the year, and with that in mind, we hope that people will be able to go back and use this as a reference tool. So very good as an archival piece. We hope 30, 40 years down the road when someone comes in and starts wondering about the fire department's 100th anniversary, that'll be me, so don't worry about that. They'll be able to come to this publication in electronic format and see that the information is there, and they'll be able to go back and find the history. So as we begin to go in and archive these documents, we think that's a very important step for the future. Based on the positive feedback we've received in the past 2 years, we've again used the flipbook format. I think you're familiar with that from previous demonstrations. This is the third consecutive year that we've used that, and it has many benefits. First, it makes the publication available on demand on the website, 24/7. If someone wants to look at the publication in the middle of the night, they don't have to go searching through their mail to do that. They can go right to the website and do it. It may be downloaded for future viewing on a computer or a tablet. They don't have to view it online. In fact, tonight, what I have on the screen is running off of a DVD. So it has many different ways we can do that. It may also be printed. We have traditional folks who like to feel that paper in their hands. They certainly can do that when they print it. It reaches the public much faster without traditional printing and traditional postage. So we don't have to worry about that. We can get it right out to the people, and we're right on schedule again this year. Finally, it's cost effective. Prior to the economic downturn, we had a $15,000 line to print this traditionally and mail it to residents. As the economic downturn came on, city administration wisely said, let's find some ways to save some money. Let's cut that we don't have to spend. This was one of those. We, for several years, did an online version of this publication, and 3 years ago, we went to the flipbook format. So we have gone from a $15,000 line to this year, it was a total of $57. And all of that was for the flipbook software. The purchase this year did get us to the silver level, I'm glad to announce. It's going to save us $4 next year, $53. We're looking forward to that. We've reached a point with them where we're becoming a regular vendor, or a regular customer. Taking you through the book a little bit, you'll see on the cover that That's Captain Paul Brown. We did not have to twist his arm to ask him to be the cover boy. He was very willing to do that and volunteered for internal pages as well if we were interested, but we were not. So this was big news during the year, obviously the 100th anniversary for the Greer Fire Department. And as we begin to flip through, you'll see that it has very much a magazine format. It's just electronic. The printed copy that you have at your place will hopefully look like a magazine as you flip through it. People can look at it again in many different ways. As we flip through, I won't spend a great amount of time on any page or story. We want everybody to come through and read it at their leisure. But you'll see in the first portion of this a good mix of really, I don't know, I guess we can call it innovative programs, city services, and some cost-saving measures that the city has implemented. You'll see the retail sales for the city, another record, some cost-saving measures for online training, the AAA publication for training, the Inland Port Award. We begin to get into some mini features. Here are the body-worn cameras that Chief Reynolds mentioned earlier this evening. You'll see the Community Master Plan through Partnership for Tomorrow, a very important project that continues into this year. And here we get to the Century on the Front Line, the 100 years for the Greer Fire Department. That's actually a 4-page spread. We have some photos from their open house in November and a little feature on Chief Harvey, who has announced his retirement. As we get to the back, you'll see the financial report, and we begin to go into the departmental reports. Some are 2 pages, some are 4 pages. Obviously, some have more programs than others, like Parks and Recreation. Police, you heard earlier this evening. Chief Reynolds tells me that everybody loves firefighters, so I had to make sure he had enough pages, and we can do that. You'll see the police there. You got the Public Services, Greer Development Corporation and Greenville County Redevelopment Authority, which obviously have a significant impact on the economic development and the infrastructure for the city. Something that many residents have told us they like are the who to contact pages. You'll see a little link with that. These are actually links to emails. So if someone has a question about accounts payable, for instance, they can click on that. Their email reader will open, client will open, and they can send an email very easily. We wrap it up with, as we know, all the cool kids are in Greer. They bring their cool parents with them, and we're very happy to have them here. That's a very quick look at this publication. Again, I hope you will go through and look at it online. We're making this known through the media that it is now available, and we'll go through social media as well. We did that this morning and have already started to receive feedback on that. So be glad to answer any questions you may have about it.
Council, questions? Comments?
Steve, I just want to say that, as a communications guy and somebody that focuses a lot on marketing in my business, I think this is a really great piece that you've put together. I mean, it tells so many stories visually. You don't even need the words to tell the stories of everything that's happening in the city, and I think you did a real great job with this.
Thank you very much.
This is something,
Looks broken.
it belongs in lobbies of all kinds of offices and hotels, and just to tell folks, this is, like you said, it's a snapshot of us, and it's a good picture.
There are great things happening here, and I'm just lucky enough to be able to report them.
We have a great story to tell, and it's a wonderful medium that we're able to use. We will send to you an electronic link. We'll send that in an email to you. In that electronic link, what I encourage you to do is to distribute that to as many folks as you would like to get it out to. That's the wonderful thing about using this format, is that the more folks that we can get it in their hands, the more likely that we're going to have folks who have interest in it and that will open it, spend some time perusing it. They may only have interest or time today for 1 or 2 of the stories or pieces of information, but they may store it and have access to it that they can, at their leisure, can pick it back up again. Again, the cost effectiveness of this and the ability for us to get this to multiple audiences is very important for us. Steve works extremely hard on it. He is the creative mind behind it as well. So we give full acknowledgement to Steve for his production of this piece, but we give full credit to all of Team Greer for the services that we provide each and every day to our community so that this type of piece we're able to showcase and highlight the services that our community receives. So when you receive that link, I encourage you to forward it as wide and as often as you can.
And I also have on order some USB drives in the shape of a credit card. We will load this file on there so someone can plug that into their USB port, able to call that up, and it's the same way we are this evening. So be glad to get you a supply of those, and feel free to hand those out as you travel.
Very good.
Good job.
Thank you, Steve. Council, that concludes my report. I would ask your consideration tonight for executive session. In that executive session, I would have one economic development matter to give you some information on, and two personnel matters as updates.
Thank you, sir. Council, with that, we'll move to items of old business, the first of which is the second and final reading of ordinance number 5-2015, an ordinance to provide for the annexation of property owned by 1010 Poplar Drive Extension Land Trust located on Poplar Drive Extension by 100% petition, and to establish a zoning classification of R12 for said property. Justin Curse joins us this evening in place of Mr. Glenn Pace. Justin, we thank you for being with us this evening. Do you have any new or additional information in regards to ordinance number 5-2015?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. For 2015-5, the second public hearing was held February 23rd. There was only one person that spoke in opposition, though she was a little misinformed. She thought they were wanting to put an apartment on this property instead of just a house, and considering it's only about 3/10 of an acre, I don't think that putting an apartment complex there would work. Planning Commission did recommend approval for that. I have no further information on this case.
Council comes as a second reading with recommendation from the Planning Commission. Do I hear a motion to receive?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Floor is open for discussion. Hearing none, Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes?
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Bookert,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Halbert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, the next item is the second and final reading of ordinance number 6-2015, an ordinance to provide for the annexation of property owned by Brandy and Matthew Van Patten, located at 100 Peachtree Drive by 100% petition, and to establish a zoning classification of R20 for said property. Any new or additional information in regards to ordinance number 6-2015, Mr. Kurtz?
The public hearing for this was held on February 23rd as well. No one spoke in favor or opposition, and the Planning Commission recommended approval. That's all I have, sir.
Heard the recommendation from staff. I'll entertain a motion to receive.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Floor is open for discussion. Questions? Comments? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Airwood,
Yes?
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Bookert,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Second and final reading of ordinance 7-2015, an ordinance to provide for the annexation of property owned by Tennick Holdings Incorporated located at 2204 Country Club Road by 100% petition, and to establish a zoning classification of a DRD for said property. Mr. Kurtz?
If you remember, about a week ago, we had the inclement weather. That caused the Planning Commission meeting to cancel, so the applicant wasn't able to go. So they are requesting the second reading will be tabled until the April 14th City Council meeting, so they will be able to appear to the Planning Commission on March 16th.
On the recommendation of staff, I'll entertain a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comment or discussion in that regard? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Earwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Second and final reading of the ordinance number 9-2015, an ordinance amending the City of Greer zoning code to add section 617, donation bins, including the purpose and intent, definitions, general requirements, and conflicts, and to amend section 8.5.2 to provide requirements for signage on donation bins. Any new or additional information in regards to ordinance number 9-2015?
No, sir, no new changes are proposed.
Council will entertain a motion to receive.
Move. Second.
Motion and a second. Floor is open for discussion. Questions?
This includes changes.
All changes that were submitted as amendments on first reading have been included.
Gotcha.
Last call. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Earwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Items of new business, first of which was a discussion regarding the Allen Bennett Memorial Hospital. I believe Mr. Driggers has information in that regard.
Mayor, as we've provided the market analysis study to you and had an opportunity to discuss this project with you during your planning session, we've been attempting to obtain some additional information that we had hoped that we would have for review this evening. Unfortunately, that has not yet been provided to us. With your permission, we would like to ask your consideration to hold this over.
On the recommendation of the administrator, have a request to hold over this item. Do I hear a motion in that regard?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further comments in that regard? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Earwood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, we have the first reading of ordinance number 10-2015. This is an ordinance to provide for the annexation of properties owned by Paul Chicky located at 1710 Hood Road and South Buncombe Road by 100% petition, and to establish a zoning classification of C2 for said properties. Mr. Kurtz?
Yes, as you said, they are seeking a C2 zoning classification. The name of the business will be Carolina Internet Auto. They do vehicle sales as well as minor repairs and service to the vehicles that they sell. They are set to go to the Planning Commission on March 16th, and also of note, we are annexing several portions of right-of-way along Buncombe Road, Hood Road, and Jones Road, doing 460 feet along Buncombe Road, 339 on Hood Road, and 226 feet along Jones Road.
By show of hand, is the owner of the property or representative of the owner of the property with us this evening? Would you care to address council or add any additional comments? Thank you. So noted that the owner was in attendance. I'll entertain a motion to receive.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Floor is open for discussion or questions.
Can you kind of speak to the right-of-way annexation? What is the story behind that?
For contiguity, we are able to really bring that intersection now into the full control of our public safety department. This enables us to be able to work anything that would happen in that intersection. Right now, it's just one of those, you got some parts in the city, some parts out of the city. It's just not the best situation when we're responding on scene there to either police, fire, or medical calls. This cleans that up so that through our CAD system, it's clearly identified that all of those dispatches will come to us for response, and we would work those in that intersection.
This is not a question, more of maybe we should. During our planning retreat, we had talked about opportunities to put utilities underground, and there's a lot at that intersection. Now, I do not know if those belong to CPW or Duke or whoever, but even if they could put anything that could go underground would help clean it up. So I would like for us to make that phone call and see.
We'll communicate that, absolutely.
What can we do?
Others? Have a motion and a second. Any further conversation? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, the next item before us is the first reading of ordinance 11-2015. This is an ordinance to provide for the annexation of property owned by Tracy Gabriela Ward located at 126 Gulf Street by 100% petition and to establish a zoning classification of R12 for said property. Mr. Kurtz?
Yes, sir. This is a single lot. They are annexing to connect to city sewer. We are also taking a portion of the right-of-way, approximately 175 feet of Gulf Street along the annexation.
By show of hand, is the owner of the property or a representative of the owner of the property with us this evening? Yes, ma'am, and if you are Ms. Ward, I am sorry that I have mispronounced your name, but is there anything that you would like to add to this conversation or take the opportunity to address council?
Not this time, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Let the record so indicate that the owner of the property was with us this evening. I'll entertain a motion to receive.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Questions? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Last item of new business this evening is the first reading of ordinance number 12-2015, an ordinance to provide for the annexation of properties owned by McGee Properties of Greenville located on Pleasant Drive and Wayman Drive by 100% petition and to establish a zoning classification of R10 for said property. Mr. Kurtz?
Yes, sir. They are seeking to put 28 single-family detached dwellings on this property. If you look at the surrounding zoning of both the city and the county, it is all R15. And as you mentioned, they are on the current ordinance, they're seeking R10. After further discussion with the developer, they would like to request an amendment to the ordinance to R12 from R10.
We certainly would support that recommendation or the request on the applicant's part. R10 would be very difficult under our land use plan for us to recommend. We have had conversations with the developer on this site. We think the R12 is a much more compatible zoning designation for that site relative to the surrounding zoning of R15. And they have reviewed that, and they do believe that they can accommodate that. And we think it would be more appropriate when it goes to the Planning Commission that it would be at R12 as well. So again, we are asking that you would consider amending for first reading the ordinance as it is written, with the exception of changing that from R10 to R12.
Council, that's certainly your prerogative. I'll entertain a motion to receive as is or with a recommendation to amend to R12 for the purpose of discussion.
I'll make the motion to receive and amend to R12.
Have a motion, do I hear a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. Floor is open for discussion, for questions, comments.
Is that McGee, is that related to McGee Brothers? You know,
That is them.
That's them?
That's them.
Others? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, in executive session this evening, we have one economic development matter to consider as well as two thank you, Mr. Kurtz, for joining us this evening. one economic development matter, and 2 personnel matters to consider. Do I hear a motion to adjourn into executive session?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, in executive session, we've considered one economic development matter and 2 personnel matters, taking no action in regards to to any of those matters. Do I hear a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Stand adjourned.